Well, it's the morning of the 30th day. It's a little overcast, but it's the morning of the 30th day. You know, it's kind of funny because you start out with like, yeah, and then after a while it's like, okay, another day, and eventually you get to a point where it's like, okay, it's not I'm ready for this to be over kind of thing. It's like it's not the enthusiasm somewhat wanes, as it does with everything as you're going along. And so we're getting near the end. So I figured I had maybe about 7 days left, and it's good. It's been very good, but and it is still very good. But boy, after a while, it's like someone asked if I get tired of walking. No, I don't get tired of walking. It's sometimes you miss the comforts of home. One time I was on a trip with my son, and he said to me, he said the night before we left for home, before we returned, after being gone for maybe about 4 weeks, he said, "Boy, Dad, I'm ready to be home." And then we were home for about 2 or 3 days later, and we were home for about 2 or 3 days. He's like, "You know what? Kind of want to show us back in Italy that we had gone to Italy." And it was like, yeah, it's kind of like you almost wish you had like a kind of Star Trek transporter where you can pop in and out, right? And you kind of miss the comforts of home, but that's all part of it too, right? You missing the comforts of home, but it's good. I mean, yesterday was a beautiful day. I look forward to another beautiful day of walking along the Camino, experiencing things. You see things on the Camino that you don't normally would see when you're visiting another country. When you go to other countries, and you're like on a tour, or you're even in a car, just going from place to place, you're seeing the country at its best. I've said multiple times, when you're on the Camino, you're seeing Spain and the reality of Spain, and and sometimes it isn't pretty. The town I'm in right now, it's a small town. You see a lot of poverty at times. You see a lot of uh, homes and buildings in disrepair, and that's reality. Like when I did a century bike ride in Los Angeles one time, and that's Los Angeles, and you still saw a lot of things in disrepair, a lot of things that weren't pleasant. And so when you're on the Camino, you'll see these things. And you look at it and it's like, well, this is what life in Spain is like for a lot of people. And I think it's beneficial to see this. It's beneficial to see all of the pretty things, and sometimes the not so pretty things, to really get a true understanding, or a better understanding of the country in which you're visiting. So with that, I'm going to meet up with some friends here. Might get lucky and find some coffee, although it's Sunday morning. I'm not very hopeful of that. But might get lucky and find some coffee and be on our way. It's not too bad a day today. 16-mile day. I don't know what that is in kilometers off the top of my head. But we have an elevation gain, but not terrible. So today we're leaving Loretz, and I can't remember the name of the town I'm going to. Never remember the name of the town I'm going to. But we're on our way. So, buen camino. So I just wanted to point out something here. Now that we're in Galicia, you're going to see these markers. I really like Galicia. I think this is one of the better regions or a good region of Spain. You'll see these markers all along the way. They're great. They tell you how far you got to go. You have until you get to Santiago. They have pointers on them, and they're all along the trail. The trail is really clearly marked here in Galicia, and with these markers, and they're just wonderful. So just a little pointer to the folks. Okay, Camino update from the trail. I've got a choice. Do I do a 430 meter climb in a very short distance, so it's relatively steep? Not relatively, it is steep. Or do I take the alternate route? I'm going into Abadin, by the way. So going into Abadin, you have a choice. 430 meter climb in a very short distance, which means very steep, or relatively, and again the key term there is relatively, gradual incline, but 5 kilometers longer. So I weighed the pros and cons, and I'm doing the steeper one. I don't know if it's going to take me longer, it's going to be more difficult, but I'll tell you at the top what it's like. And I'll tell you at the end of the day whether I made the right decision or not. We shall see what we shall see, hey? Okay, let's get going. So I'm working my way to the summit, and I can't get across the scale of the incline. I love how steep the incline is. I was discussing this with a friend, Dan, a friend and fellow pilgrim this morning. And if I look straight, that's straight across. And you can see the downward slope of the incline. Doesn't quite communicate it, but I'm trying to get the message across. So you can see it's a little steep. Let me see if I could do it this way. Same thing. Looking straight, you can kind of see how the road just goes up. Not quite the same feel, but trying to get it across. Okay, I think I'm at the summit. I don't know if you can see that view. I think I'm at the summit because I look up and there's nothing above me. There's a little hill over to my left. I don't see much else. So I think I made the summit. So now I think it's pretty level on into Abadin. I don't know, I'm too tired. Almost out of water, so next task is to find some fresh, cool water and maybe take a break. But tell you what, was that worth saving 5 kilometers? Yeah, I think it was. Not only that, but like the book says, you get to see some beautiful views. I'm up amongst the clouds. Look at behind me here. We're up into the clouds. Yeah, I think I made the right decision. I'll tell you when I get to town. We'll see what time I get there. Don't have too many kilometers more left to go, but we'll see. Okay, boy, look at this view, huh? We'll talk to you later. Well, I'm past the summit and I'm kind of heading towards town, and there's still this beautiful countryside. And yeah, Spain is such an interesting country. I mean, I really loved the beauty of the Basque region and the impressive coastline. I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but I mean, they're dramatic and impressive. But boy, you know, this is what I remember from last year, just these great pastoral lands, just large vistas, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah, I really can't capture in video how this feels. I mean, you're just a person walking along in this, and it's like the sky is so big and the pasture land is so vast. I keep looking around, and it's like you can see for miles, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. This is what, yeah, the climb was definitely worth the view. This is what doing the Camino, what makes doing the Camino worthwhile. This right here. Yeah, this is gorgeous stuff, folks. Yeah, really gorgeous stuff. Anyways, time to get going. Buen Camino.